right, and welcome back to Rescue Us. I am back along with... Who are you guys?
Jen.
Giovanni.
Alex.
We're here. We're doing another half season. This happens to be the first half of season 3. What's up with the cast in season 3? Giovanni, told you.
They're fucked. They are fucked. That's actually the definition of this whole show. They're fucked.
Yeah, none of them are really having a good time, like at all.
No, not and I will say, in watching season 3, it's insane how quickly it just continues to go up, and it just continues in that direction. Just like like we finished season 2, and I'm like, what else could they do? And season 3 starts.
Like literally, the only thing that could be worse than what happens to these people if there was 9/11 Part 2.
Yeah,
like that's the only thing that can make it worse on them. Their lives are like in shambles. Now I have a weird. I continue to feel bad for Jerry.
Oh God! Yeah.
Throughout this first half, I feel less and less bad for Lou. He really starts to kind of become a piece of shit.
He does. Yeah.
He's spiraling for sure.
He does. So the season opens up with the episode called Devil, and you really get a taste of how shitty things have spiraled. And the only one who seems to be doing phenomenal is the uncle who shot the guy.
Oh yeah, he's a fucking celebrity.
Uncle
like
Ted.
Women want to marry him.
Yeah. He loves being in prison. He seems to be in control of the situation.
He's like, I gotta marry one of them just to get conjugal visit or to have sex with them.
Oh my God.
It starts out with a dream though. Like that dream was pretty fucked up.
The dream sequence, yeah.
Yeah. He ends up seeing like everybody on fire, and then the fucking guy that Teddy shoots fucking hits, like beats him or something, and then he wakes up all of a sudden. But it's just weird because he's having guilt about it because
he did
set it up.
He did talk to Jesus in the pickup truck at the end of the last season, and he kind of came to a moral kind of like, fuck, we shouldn't be doing this.
Right.
So he does have that guilt. He's also, I mean, I think, what was it, the first episode where he sits down at the kitchen table and then Connor's next to him getting cereal?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, when they show his son, like the memory of him and his son, it's very quiet, very somber. And there's a moment on his face. Yeah, not at all. They don't say anything.
Throughout the first 6 episodes, Connor is there, but he almost doesn't acknowledge him. Mm-hmm. Like even in that scene where they're sitting at the little breakfast table and Connor comes up and he's got cereal, Leary's facing here and Connor's facing towards Leary. Leary never looks over at him.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's never like a hi, it's just dead ahead. Which does, I think, continue, and I think part of the reason of that is he's still, like, throughout this first half, he's still very much grieving. And he has several, scenes where he breaks down and cries, and I'm really starting to fucking hate Janet, bro.
I can't stand her.
Her fucking... I mean, for one thing, there's a weird quasi-rape scene that turns into lovemaking.
Oh, God, yeah.
He goes over and basically is like, we're gonna fuck. And she's struggling, and then it was basically like him, in my opinion, like, marking his territory from his brother.
What's even creepier is...
the build-up that got there.
Not only that, but then she starts to do that to him.
Well, she gets into it. Like, mid-rape... She's like, all right, fuck it. And this goes back to how they've talked about, like, we've always had good sexual chemistry, Tommy. They've talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I think the problem with her character in general is I didn't find it fair to blame him for Connor. And
not at all. Yeah.
I think what you're going to see is she kind of comes out of that grief coma and realizes, fuck, like, I mean, right now it's sexual, but, like, I don't see it, especially how their relationship's already been, I don't see it slowing down or stopping. Especially, what was it, the episode 6, where she shows up, she hears about him and the Marissa Tomei. And she shows up at his place ready to go.
But she doesn't know. It wasn't her that was being called.
But that doesn't mean she doesn't know.
Yeah, I think she knows.
I think she knows.
But she doesn't. Yeah, I think she knows.
I think that's her marking her territory.
But there's
although the ending of episode 6 made me laugh so fucking hard. Like, who is he called? Who's she calling?
Sheila just gets more and more fucking psycho too.
I know.
Like
and
I used to feel
kinda
bad
feel
for her.
bad.
I don't anymore though, because she's
I
doing it to her
kinda
fucking
do.
self.
She is.
You're the one who went in and dated the abusive lesbo, who was blonde haired and tried to look like Tommy. You're the one putting yourself in these situations at this point. Jen, what is your take on Sheila for the first 6 episodes?
I so far this series, I'm not a fan of her. I do feel bad about the events that have taken place in her life, stemming from her husband dying in 9/11. And then
Her
the
son now wants to be a
yes.
firefighter.
Her miscarriage and then her relationships, but she is a very toxic person. She clearly has mental issues that she's may or not be dealing with.
I still give her credit for being the only fucking person to stick up for Tommy at Connor's wedding.
Yes,
but with that said, there's limits of
she's a fucking psycho.
Yeah.
Lots of red flags.
Yeah. I mean, just like you guys were saying in that last scene of episode 6, where she's just like at her kitchen sink, just throwing basically a temper tantrum is what she's throwing.
Shit.
Yeah,
But she's
shit.
acting like they're together.
Yeah.
It's so weird through this first 6 episodes, the way she's acting.
So I can understand why she's upset, because she's trying to get close to Tommy again by helping him out, taking care of his dad, who we'll discuss in a bit. His health is failing, so she's there every day taking care of what is he to her, like
he's an uncle.
See,
not a father-in-law. Yeah, an
would
uncle.
she be doing that if it wasn't for trying to get back with Tommy though?
I don't think so.
She's not doing it out of kindness of her heart. She's doing it to try to get back with Tommy. It's all her way of weaseling in, and the whole last scene of her destroying everything is realizing that everything she's done is all for nothing because he's got no interest.
Right.
That's basically what it is.
But yeah, and then I mean, she has so many issues with her son. He started out her thinking that he was dealing drugs, which he was. Then there was the whole I want to be a firefighter, so Tommy has to come over and talk to him about that. And then she finds condoms in his room, and she's got to talk to Tommy about that, and he's got to talk to Damien about that. And that storyline is actually pretty hilarious, because Tommy does talk to Damien and finds out what the condoms are for. Turns out Damien is having sexual relations with a high school teacher at his high school, which is a big no-no on many levels.
Dude, it's been a few weeks. That was season 3?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that was the first episode.
Blending.
So Tommy goes to the school, asks to see the teacher, and he sees it's some older lady, and he's like, what? And then that woman that he's speaking with is like, oh no, that my daughter has, your godson in her class. So he goes and sees her, and he's like, oh, okay, I understand why Damien has this, crush or whatever, and affair with this woman. And he straight up tells her, you need to stop having sex with my godson. And she's like, well, if I stop this, I need to start something else. And Tommy's like thinking like, what else do you have to start? And then he starts thinking with his dick, of course, because it's Tommy Gavin. So he starts having relations with her, and she stops seeing Damien. Damien acts like a love-struck little high school boy, because she broke up with him. And
I mean, to be fair, even when her and Tommy get into the sexual act, he is like, it's like I'm in high school again.
Yeah.
Like he can't last more than like 30 seconds.
He can't last. He's a 2-pump chump, as they call it.
That's her nickname for me.
And so that whole relationship is just
it wraps up slightly already in the first 6, where she gets busted for essentially raping several students.
Yes.
By the way, they hide this from Sheila the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of onto it, but then Tommy lies to her and she goes off of it.
Mm-hmm.
And she gives the boys chlamydia.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like then Tommy's like, fuck, I don't want to piss. Like I gotta piss like a racehorse, but if I do, I'm worried if what's gonna happen.
It's gonna be on fire. But
I hate that storyline, to be honest. I really fucking do.
he gets caught by Lou fucking checking for shit, trying to check for symptoms.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, there's also a couple of those mornings with Lou staying with him where he's like having a breakdown cry session in the bathroom.
In the bathroom.
And of course there's Lou, like, you okay? This
Mhm.
fucking hairy bearded bum Lou.
I'm glad you brought that up. Tommy, so the loss of Tommy's son causes him to have these wave of emotions. And
Throughout
he
the
does
whole
he does
season.
he clearly doesn't understand it himself. Like he thinks something's wrong with him, he doesn't understand what's going on. But yeah, it's just it's the loss of his son. He clearly hasn't grieved yet. So
Mhm.
he properly. So this is what he's doing. And he's in this one, his vices, I feel like aren't as like he does drink alcohol
He's
here and there.
fairly in check here.
Yeah,
Like
he
he's
is.
still going through the rough, but like he's got the apartment, like he's going to work. He's not doing super crazy shit, even though he's got Sheila on his back. The dumbest thing he's doing at this point is trying to fuck Johnny's ex. Which when does Marissa Tomei stop being attractive?
Never.
Like, I
doesn't-
mean,
Yeah.
from my cousin Vinny to Aunt May, like she's never
Yeah.
stopped.
Yeah. That's
So,
true.
but that's Johnny's ex, and they're trying to do this, and she's all in. She decides, like, okay,
Yeah, at
I'm
first she
in, let's
wasn't
do
in Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She even comes up with a 10-point plan.
Yeah.
That's supposed to.
yeah,
it's
she's
supposed to
way
work.
too organized about it. Like, there's way too much planning.
And then they only get to like step 4. They go from step 1, 2 to 9, 10.
Well, the problem is he's literally goes back to his place to like gear up to go meet Tomei and do the deed, and that's how his kind of first half ends with her Janet showing up,
Mhm.
decked in full on in fucking let's go gear, and there's no like she's not coy, like she shows up, drops the jacket, and is like yo, and it's like with knowing Janet, that's not gonna stop there. She's too emotional.
So with that scene, I do want to get your guys' male intake on the lingerie choice that Janet showed up in. Is it flattering or unflattering on her specifically, what she wore?
You did see a little cottage cheese ass.
I don't think it was
remember all of
attractive.
It was black or no?
Yeah.
It was black, but there was like she's way too pale, and there was way too much pale ass showing.
I think something more like a teddy type shirt would have been better rather than a corset and underwear. Also, I mean, if you're coming over there to seduce him, why are you wearing just regular like brief underwear? Like, why wouldn't you wear a thong or something?
I would have said it would have been better if she had like a lacy sort of bottom undergarment, something that like showed some ass, but not as much as like her half a gimp suit did.
Mhm. Something that we have not even touched yet is at the end of episode 1, you find out that Janet's fucking Mayhem.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
That is revealed. That's and then
the
he
And then
beats the shit out of him.
And then the second
during their
episode,
fathers.
during the birthday party.
I mean, he takes him out to the street, puts his head through a fucking car window, and beats the shit out of him. But
Well,
there's
the
like
way
an
he-
understanding though.
But the way
There
he
is,
finds
yeah.
out, the way he finds out about it though is really fucked up too.
Yeah,
It's at their dad's birthday. Tommy's sitting at the table. He's looking
Tommy's
across
very
the table.
observant.
He looks to the side. He sees Sean take a fucking cherry out of his sister's fucking drink, and he's like, "That's fucking weird."
3 times
then-
he counted.
Yeah, yeah. And then he looks at it. Then he looks at his brother and his ex-wife or his wife, and they're kind of close. But he drops something, so he goes down to pick it up, and he sees they're holding hands and rubbing feet.
I give him credit for not going apeshit immediately though. Like he took a little bit, and then the anger was almost like the volcano was going. You know, it was
Yeah.
like starting to, and he's just like,
And then he looked again to make sure.
And I do love the way that scene is filmed. The fact that they toned everything out. Like his
Yeah.
daughter's talking to him, he's not even paying
doesn't give a
attention.
fuck.
The sounds around him toned out. Like he's just gunned on his
Yeah.
brother.
Yep.
Like it's so well done.
And
then
he does. He
stands up
beats
and
the
fucking
shit.
dives over
And-
the table.
And I will say one of the issues I have with Tommy's character in general is when it comes to those moments where he can be tough guy masculine, he either backs away or gets his ass whooped. So I was very
Gotcha.
happy to see a scene where he legitimately goes full bore and beats the shit out of one of them and kind of like, reestablishes himself a little bit. He gets a little bit of that backbone, I think, when he beats the shit out of him there. I think it's a healing thing for him too.
And
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought there was going to be, at least 3 fights that happened there. I thought Janet and Sheila were about to go at it because Janet like shoved Sheila. And then I thought when when Sean picks him up, Tommy, I thought he was going to turn around and fucking deck him right there too.
I thought he was gonna too.
All part of it. It would have been,
Which is
Would've been
funny
funny.
because like Tommy, I don't think really. I mean, he does, but on the base level, he looks at Sean as like, my sister's not gonna be with you long term.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
you're nothing. So he's not worried about it. And then he ends up kind of almost like being a intermediary between the two, where he's telling
Yeah.
Sean what the sister said, and she's telling the sister what Sean
there's-
said, and they
But
both
Tommy's
get mad at
clearly
him.
afraid of his sister though, because there's a point where he's like, "Hey, don't tell my sister."
Yeah, don't tell my
Yeah.
sister I told you any of this. And well, look at him when he
Yeah.
grabs the booze, and she's like, "What do you
Yeah.
fuck? That's mine." And he's like, I was just looking at it. Like he's got that like she's the bully of the family,
No,
and
I
then
was pouring it for you.
the end result is like she actually starts to dig Sean, and now Tommy's an asshole because he now ruined the. And I do love his responses where she's like, you ruined who could be the man I love, and he's like, well, you shouldn't have been having sex with other guys. Like, what do you? And like the whole thing was is he told Sean to like get a backbone and fucking end it because like she's fucking other dudes.
And the one time Sean does get a backbone, it's because he took fucking 4 sleeping pills
Fucking
and he was a zombie. He was sleepwalking.
That scene was pretty hilarious.
Where
episode was funny.
he goes to the fucking store.
His trip throughout New York City on
Your
sleeping
baby's
pills.
ugly.
He's like, well, you know what? He's like, you owe it to us. We save you. We pull you out of fires. He's like, how about if this whole place burned down? He's like, would I just not come in? Is that how we do it?
Yeah, so he starts in that scene. He starts by telling the one guy, "You need to lose 75 pounds because I'm not going to be able to carry your ass out." He tells the baby that it's ugly.
Yep. Right to the mother's face. Oh, that's an ugly
Yeah.
baby. As he's eating chips.
He goes off on the cashier,
Yep.
like you guys said.
He's like, you can, we save you, and if you could at least, give us some free food, right? And he's like, so I'm gonna go now.
He tells off the was it even a cop or was it like
It
a
was
rent-a-cop?
no, it was
There
a cop.
Yeah.
It
It was an
So he-
officer, yeah.
He tells off the cop. Then he goes to a pet store and he steals a fucking bunny.
A bunny, and then they show up to the firehouse, hot on the tail. Did some guy coming here with a bunny? Yep. Well, the one line what I really like is because when Sean gets mad at Tommy, he's like, "I'm breaking up with you. We're no longer friends." And Tommy's like, "Oh no, really?" And he's like, "Yeah, we're done." So then the whole reason Sean accidentally takes these pills is because Tommy's got some heavy hitters, and I do love that conversation where they're like, "I thought you were clean." And he's like, "I am, but I figure, if I relapse,
Just
at least
in case.
just in case I
Yeah.
got him, I don't have to go looking for him."
Which is
And-
insane.
And that's junky thought.
And everybody was like, "Oh, okay."
And it makes sense to them. What if you need them? But the conversation where Sean's like, can I have some of the pain relievers or something? And he's like, well, no, those are only for my friends. And he's like, seriously, Tommy, I really need it. He's like, I know, but we're not friends, and I only share those with my friends. And then he's like, are you serious, Tommy? He's like, no, they're in the locker. Like the little relationship that Sean and him, because he almost does kind of become like a little bit of a big brother to Sean, kind of
Yeah,
like
he does.
consoling him a little bit through Maggie's horrendousness. And it's just like he almost becomes like that, like, no, buddy, it's not good for you. Like he's got that like almost protective, like you need to get out of it. And he does show the true colors though, when like Sean says certain things, he's like, don't say that about my sister. Like he's got that like
Well, they fuck with Sean early on with that because I think he tells, I forgot who he tells in the firehouse, but they know and they keep egging Sean on.
Franco.
It's Franco, yeah, him and Franco, and he's
and
like, holy shit,
Franco
this is
is
gonna
like
be fun.
a Franco is like a friend to it though, where he's like, you dating Maggie? Like, no, you shouldn't be doing that. And he doesn't listen to him, so then on it's like, all right, fuck it. He's gonna taunt them now.
Yeah, you
So
find out
funny.
that Franco and Tommy had told Franco that he knows about it, and Sean was actually worried that Franco was going to say something. He's like, no, he's like, you tell him that shit. I'm not going to tell him. But during that whole time, Franco was in on it, and he knew that Tommy already knew about it.
Yeah, who is your girlfriend again? When are you going to bring her around?
Yeah, that was the fun part too.
There is a weird dynamic between almost like mentor and mentee between Franco and Tommy right now, because Franco is studying for his lieutenant's exam, which would put him in a
Yeah.
different firehouse, or at the minimum, put him above Tommy.
Yeah.
And I think that's gonna by the end of this season get heavily explored, because it's already kind of, there's already been comments made by Franco, and there's several scenes
But his
dedicated to
decision
making it known.
the reason why though is because he wants to be a better father to Keela,
Which he's
which
not.
that's another story.
Susan Sarandon's bitch ass comes in, seduces Franco, and he thinks with his dick, so he follows along. She's got money, and she's old, but she's, I guess, a good lay.
Mhm.
And he, like an asshole, let slip that he basically kidnapped her from the foster home.
Yeah.
Her being the smart woman she has, who had a daughter who passed away. Once she figures that out, she basically kidnaps her. With the idea of like, well, she's not even legally yours, and tells him straight up, like, would you let her date you? Like, do you want her to be around your influence in your life?
Yep.
And she's
Well,
not wrong.
She says that to Tommy though.
She says that to Tommy, but
she
it's
tells Tommy to relay the message, kind of like to relay the message
Yeah.
back to Franco.
and it's like she's not wrong.
Yeah,
And
she's
Tommy-
not
and
wrong.
Tommy even says, "I don't want my kid to date somebody like me."
And to be honest with you, I think Keela being taken by her in this instance, when you're watching these 6 episodes, it's probably the best damn thing that ever happened to that little girl.
I hate
Yeah.
it that it happens, and you hate Susan Sarandon for it, but you do realize that, like, woman's loaded. Her
Mhm.
little girl passed away, so she's gonna adore, and
And
just
she's not-
spoil
she's
and
not
give her a
doing it-
great life.
She's not doing it to hurt the child either. She's
I
just
mean,
doing
Well,
it
no,
Literally,
there's
when
that
she
moment where that
kidnaps her, she
child-
takes her to fucking Disneyland.
Yeah, she takes her,
Disneyland, yeah.
yeah, she does. But there's that scene where she's watching her, and the little girl's like, "I don't want you to leave."
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So
She needs a mommy influence.
She goes, "Are you gonna
Yeah.
leave like my mommy did?" And she's like, "No." Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I think it came from the idea of, like, Susan Sarandon was looking at it like, I would love to figure out how to make this work to keep her around, and then Franco let it slip, and it became, well, he's a dunce, he's a fucking dick swinger. He lives in a shithole apartment. He tries to still maintain his single life while having a daughter. And it's hard to argue that, like, that little girl's going to be better. I mean, better without him if it's with Susan Sarandon, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's
But-
not going to be able to provide her the caliber of life, even if, I mean, it doesn't seem like she's trying to lock him out either. If she
he
does
gets
have very,
visits.
yeah, he's got visits, so it's like, is it shitty? Yeah, but you can't tell me Franco, the character, isn't relieved in some way.
That's what's
Mhm.
funny that you mentioned that, because if you watching from season 1, the Franco in season 1 and 2 would have wanted this. This is exactly what he was.
This would have been
trying to
heaven.
do.
He would have been
that
able to
would've been his
justify it.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. If he would have
I like
had
to
this
see
when
the
he
kid on
first
the
dropped her
weekend.
off,
That's great.
and it works best for him. It sucks. I mean, to be fair to Franco, this is a girl who is not grown, but she's older than what it should be to be meeting her father for the first time, who didn't know she existed. So it's like
Mhm.
a lot of blame goes on the mother for not ever letting him know. So there is some slack I think needs to be given to him, but it's been what, two seasons since it's been full bore with her,
Mhm.
and he's still kind of playing that stupid Franco. Still
And I still don't. I still,
still
don't
out
like
at
him.
still out at the bar with the guys after a shift.
Yeah, I still can't stand him. I
Going to
can't
the
stand
club.
his character.
I mean, the fact that he meets Susan Sarandon in a club and he's got Layla is a bad sign.
Keela.
Or Keela, why are you in a club?
Mhm.
Why aren't you home with your daughter? Why is somebody
Mhm.
babysitting her?
Hmm.
But she even tells him too. She's like, I'm just like the mom this week. Who's going to be next week and the week after?" So it's a cycle for him, and he's fucking happy. And he's still a dick, but he's trying to change. He's trying to change himself in his way.
I do appreciate this is the first time in the show Tommy is not at Janet's whim mentally.
Hmm.
I mean, there's that scene where she calls him about and leaves a message about the daughter getting out early or
Picking
something.
up the kids from school. Yeah.
And she's like, what is your problem? He's like, I saw it was you and I hung up. Like, I don't want anything to do with you.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
says anytime he hears a voicemail and it's her voice, he deletes it right away.
And which is, in my opinion, kind of a big step for Tommy because it's the first time he's ever been like, nah, fuck you, Janet. Like,
Yeah.
you crossed a line.
One thing I wish they did explore with Janet and Johnny's story is how they came to start having relations. Like
Well-
I know when they're fighting, when Johnny and Tommy are fighting in the street at his dad's birthday party, you know, Tommy asked, when did it start? And he said, what was it, junior prom? Like,
Mhm.
I mean, was it going on the whole entire time?
No, you
Or
gotta,
did
no,
it
no,
just
no.
Johnny,
resurface?
And
that's
yeah,
when Johnny fell in love
I
with
think
her.
it'll get explored more, but I think the whole thing was it was Janet and Tommy together, and Johnny was always looked at Janet as like the forbidden fruit, like he loved her behind the scenes sort of
Was he on
thing.
a pedestal?
Mhm.
Exactly. And then when he was going in between and the girls and her were staying with him is when
He-
that
he
relationship, when
kinda
he
sneaked his
found,
way
yeah,
in.
he found his
Mhm.
way to weasel in and be that crying shoulder who also plugs you at night.
Mhm.
He's
Which
a
is
piece
funny because Janet's character, or Janet in this instance, is being treated like she always wanted to be treated. And she's starting to realize there's a moment where she realizes
Doesn't
this
want
is
that anymore.
not what I want.
She wants Tommy.
Yeah.
And here's the
Mhm.
thing: the end of that first episode, and the way they shoot it, the only I was just like, you fucking whore, because they
Mhm.
shoot it very much like from that weird top-down angle where it shows her face and they're kind of cuddling and she's rubbing and she's got a very like
Mhm.
satisfied like fuck you Tommy face on, and I hated her for that.
Mhm.
Like I hate
Yeah, I
her
can't
thus
stand
far
her.
in this fucking season. Johnny, it's interesting when he actually calls Tommy and they have that little, not a long conversation, but there's an understanding of like, yeah, you fucked me up, but it was justified. Like, yeah, I
Mhm.
deserve this one. There's a certain like,
Which was
I get it.
crazy. Yeah, he totally like, yeah, okay, I deserved it. Like I was blown away that.
yeah, it was
But
my
then there's
fault.
there's that Gavin understanding between those brothers though. You see it throughout the season.
Well, it goes back to
you
the
s-
scene where they're fist fighting up front of the police
Yeah.
station, and then the other guys try to break it up. It's like we're just having a discussion here.
They start
Yeah.
fighting with them. Yeah. That's the scene where he finds out that he calls to make sure that Johnny's at the bar, and his gun is behind the bar, and then he's like you got 30 minutes, so he like
Sets his
hurries
ass
up.
up, yeah.
Yeah, and then that's where he does the whole taking advantage of the situation with Janet for the first time.
What's insane though is Tommy knows his brother through that whole conversation.
He knew he was.
He
gonna be
knows he's
there.
like he's
Mhm.
coming. He's gonna be here. We only got this much time. Like it's insane.
That's such a
How
fucked
well they
up
know
scene
each
though,
other.
because it does start
It
as
is.
forced sex, and then she
Yeah.
gets into it, and it's just like, you guys you belong together. You guys are so
They
fucked
do.
up. Like
Yeah, I know.
you guys are both fucked in the head. But Johnny does. I mean, he's in it, but he also takes a backseat after Tommy beats the shit out of him. Like
He does.
when they have that little fight, he kind of goes underground for a couple episodes. Like you don't really see him. Like they show him and then he even tells Tommy's youngest when she asks him like, "Why did my dad do that to you?" He admits he's like, "It was my fault. Like we're just brothers. This is what brothers do. I did a bad thing. I was a bad and like fully."
Don't be scared. He even says, "Don't be scared of your dad."
Yeah, he fully has.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
interesting how much he's got Tommy's back in that moment, where he's like, "Don't be afraid of him. Like this is just what brothers do." It's interesting to me that he like literally his head put through a fucking car window by Tommy, and is still like, "No, I was at fault." It's like there's a certain amount of props that should be given.
Yeah,
He
and again,
was-
it goes back to that weird love that they have for each other. That whole family, just in general,
Mhm.
the strange relationship style that they have. It's underlying violence, but it's like respectable violence. Like if somebody else fucked with one of them, they would have their back and they'd be head hunting, but they're allowed to like torture each other, which is really weird.
Well, the whole dynamic, like even if you think about the dynamic with Maggie in the relationship, like she's perhaps the most brutal of them all, and they still cover her ass. Like it's still like, no, that's the sister.
Mhm.
Like there's a weird thing. There's a certain loyalty of like, I fucking hate you, but if anybody else comes at you, we'll fight them. We got them. Don't worry about it.
Mhm.
hmm
I am interested to see what happens with Tommy and Johnny.
Yeah. Their development is becoming super interesting. And then there's speaking of, since we've been talking about head cases, there's Lou.
who has just gone deep down into that depression cycle. He's got no money because of Lady. He's drinking every night. There's the scene with him and the homeless guy, and they're like trying to kill themselves in the same way.
Yeah.
And then the homeless guy Lou lays out what's going on to the homeless guy, and the guy's like, "Well, you go first,
right.
then."
You've got it worse.
You got it worse. No, the other thing with Jerry and Lou, where Jerry keeps trying to push him to borrow money, and Lou's he's like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "You come to me for money," and then Jerry yells at him back and tells him, "Hey, I'm still your boss." He was, "And you're gonna fucking pull rank on me," which he's not wrong in that.
I'll agree. That's bullshit. Yeah, no. I mean, if you're gonna try to borrow money and get a response, like if you don't like the response, that's on you. Like you're the one who's begging.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the other tipping points of Lou that just.
Well, he's got nothing. I mean, he's got nothing. He's got no wife.
He's
He's got no house. He's got no
apartment.
money.
Yeah.
He tries to get back his watch that his wife takes that they were supposed to give to their first child, which never had. But the wife still keeps the watch.
And it was a watch handed down from his family, I think, too, right?
Yeah, it was his dad. Yeah, it was firefighter.
And he ends up. That scene's funny when he goes to break into the house and cuts himself. And it's he's just like.
And he leaves.
And just walks away, blood
and
everywhere.
There's blood everywhere. Yeah. He goes to a veterinarian to fucking get stitched up.
The buddy of his, yeah. I'm just a vet, and he's like, it's all the same.
But it's strange in his behavior in this first half of the season because you get little bits of what Lou used to be like, little bits of his like quirkiness with the team and when they're all gathered together and joking
cooking
around
dinner.
Cooking dinner.
We haven't talked at all about Proby and his
I'm getting to that.
Go ahead and get into it, Giovanni.
Proby. Okay, so Proby at some point has been debating to leave the firehouse. He got it in his head from a buddy, like you're always going to be the rookie.
Which, you know what? It's not incorrect. I mean, they even tell him you're always going to be our Proby, but you still have a family. Like he's making it out to be something that it's not.
And that's the struggle. Like, these guys, they have your back. They fuck with you, but they have your back. If you go to another firehouse,
they're the only family you got. You don't really like talking to your mom. You're in a weird roommate relationship right now.
Yeah. He lives with a guy, and do they ever introduce how he meets this guy?
Not really. Remember. They're both into baseball and knob slobbing.
Well, isn't it another firefighter? Like
I think he is.
From a different house? So. Yeah.
They like beat up on each other mentally like guys do, like when it comes to baseball teams. But then Proby's like gets a blowjob from him, and he's like, "Now I'm not gay," and then that starts a whole argument.
But then like the whole thing is, he's like, "Do you think you ever want to try this on me?" And as he's blowing him, and he's like, "No, I'm not gay." And then the dude's like, "What, you saying I'm gay because I blow you?" And it's like, well, and they literally get into a fist fight, which they then stop fighting to watch the game. It's such an autistic, weird relationship, dude.
Well, the first thing you find out about the relationship is Proby comes home from work and he puts his head on his shoulder.
Yeah, that's how it starts, where it's like they cuddle while watching the game.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, is Proby is really a fucking stupid fucking guy.
If he only would have stayed with the fat chick.
He calls his mom to find out when he was born. Because
I know what year I was born, but
he was doing the math and it didn't work out because of the whole year 2000 thing. That was his fucking. I'm like,
it was a leap year.
Yeah, it was a leap year. So what a fucking idiot.
He is. He's so stupid. But he's clearly struggling emotionally, trying to figure out who he is and what he is, and it doesn't help that he feels like he's being left out in his own firehouse, but he understands that when shit goes down, no other firehouse is going to have his back the way.
Well, not only that, but like he's so dumb he doesn't understand by like them going, well, you're our Proby. By them saying you're our guy in general, like you've been accepted, like you're in the fold. Like, yeah, they're going to fuck with you because that's how it works. It's guys, but like he doesn't understand that he's already been accepted by them. And he's listening to other assholes who are now Probies, who are now under, they're thinking, well, they're going to treat me like this the whole time. And it's like, Franco was a Proby at one point. John was a Proby at one point. Like, they all have their place. They all part of the crew. Like, he's just so dumb he can't think forward.
Yeah, whoever's telling him that is an idiot because if they're a probie at one place and they go to another place, they're going to be the new guy who happens to be a probie from another place. They're still going to be the probie.
Yeah, they're gonna start all over from the bottom of
Yeah,
the chain.
you're
up.
brand new.
Yeah, it doesn't make no
Mhm.
fucking sense.
Also, so
And then,
oh, go on.
I'm sorry, I was just say, and then if he goes to another firehouse, yeah, he doesn't get that. You'll have to earn that respect all over again with new
Mhm.
people you don't
Ground
know.
zero,
Like it's
straight. It's just
Yeah.
he's
Now,
just
if
dumb.
when you're Tommy and you transfer to another house, it's not like that because people already heard stories about Tommy.
You're Tommy.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
You know, they
Gavin.
know
you're
who- yeah,
the
they-
fucking Superman.
They know the Gavin name, and I guess Gavin name runs.
I mean,
fucking
you don't see
firehouses.
Proby jumping. You don't see Proby jumping from building to building like that. You know.
throwing
No.
kids across
Uh-huh.
open
Yeah.
spaces.
Doing that
Bringing
crazy
kids-
shit he does.
bringing children back from the dead.
The storyline with the racial inequality with the bus
Mm-hmm.
is oddly relevant today.
Yeah.
Like even
Yep,
this
I thought
was
about that too.
this was 15 years ago, and they're
I've
already
exactly thought
going.
about
They're
that.
already bringing up the points that are you would hear today. If this happened today, there would be discussion of like, was it was because there was white kids, right? It was if it was a people, kids of color bus, nobody would have done that, and it's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
all have the right to be like, fuck you. Like we saved those kids. Fuck you. We were on our way back from another call, or on our way to another call.
On our way too.
This was more important. It's a
That's-
fucking flipped over bus full of kids, and because the other place happened to be in a black predominant area, they considered it racism that they did the school bus full of white children
And
instead
not
of
that
going
it
to the call.
matters, but it was an older gentleman who was having a heart attack. Like you have one
Yeah.
older man versus maybe 20 young kids who could potentially be blown up by this overturned bus.
And the crazy
Like,
thing
it-
is, I think any firefighter today would have stopped and done that shit immediately.
Yeah.
How could you
And-
not? It's a goddamn flipped
and
over bus
imagine-
on a city street.
Imagine
Mhm.
all the flack any firehouse would have gotten if they would have surpassed that overturned bus to go to that call for the one
Well,
guy with a
Right?
heart attack.
they if they were told about it and they passed it up, that's where they would get the flack because you hear fucking sirens all the time. There could be an accident next door.
But
But
they
they don't
saw
see
it though with their own. Like
Franco,
that's the
yeah,
thing.
Franco saw it.
If there would have been reporters there. Well, there were reporters there, right?
Yeah, there were.
And if they wouldn't have stopped, would the report have been fire truck passes right by overturned bus
Mm-hmm.
full
Yeah.
of children to like that's a whole nother story of like, are you
Yep.
even doing your job? Because I'm sorry, one asshole having a heart attack is not worth a bus full of kids.
And I do respect Jerry's response to it. It's Jerry's the chief, right? I always
Mhm.
mix the chief and the
Well,
lieutenant up.
there's Chief and then there's Jerry, who is like higher than lieutenant,
So-
lower than chief.
So
Okay.
there's what's his name? The fucking Captain Dickhead is the top guy. Then it's
Yeah.
Captain,
Jerry,
Chief,
then it's
Lieutenant.
Lou.
Okay.
Okay, so
So-
Chief
so-
and then Lou. Okay.
So Jerry, I respect Jerry's response because Jerry does have some, he has issues with he has homophobia, obviously, with his son.
Yeah.
He's struggling with that, kind of coming out of it. He seems like he comes from a family where they're all American, rough and tough.
Oh, yeah, I mean
Like,
the
we
whole
were
story
here-
about his father trying to kill himself.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean it's not-
exactly.
he had a
Mhm.
rough upbringing.
And he defended, he's like, it's not about black or white, doesn't matter, these are kids. Like though the whole interview was pretty solid from his point of
Mhm.
view.
Yeah.
So I did love that.
Well,
that
then is
he
it
stepped up
Tommy?
that way.
Is it Tommy? I know he's in the previous season. He made the comment of like, if I refuse to go in a fire because there's black people in there, then you can say something. But that was from before. There was another
Yeah.
comment he made where he's like, when he gets there and he's like, I don't know, should we check if they're black or white in there? Like there was that
Yeah,
comment.
Still
Yeah,
last season. Yeah, that was still last season.
yeah, like
Mhm.
which plays into this even more. And it's just it's a theme, and you gotta wonder. I'd imagine that these like real life firefighters, especially in an area like New York City, deal with that bullshit of just like, we saved this fire but not this one, or we went to this
Well,
house
yeah.
and
I think
you
that
know.
didn't happen this season. No, I think that happened this season.
Yeah. It was after the bus where he was. They were basically, mocking them, getting fucking shit talked about saving the bus full of kids.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Well, that's
So
the thing
another
too.
thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's the thing too. Is do they even acknowledge when Tommy brings that little girl back from the dead that the fire?
That is a crazy. That was a scene, and I like
The
how like
paramedics gave up on the kid.
everybody's
Crazy.
face, the crew, the paramedics had this like, Tommy just brought her back from the dead. Like there was this
Yeah.
almost like, what the fuck,
Mhm.
I do find it
Right.
crazy. How he was like she's gotta have a broken sternum though, no? Like
Yeah,
he was
Yeah, she
punching
probably
her
has.
chest.
Yeah.
I
She's
brought her
alive
back,
though.
but she has internal issues now.
Yeah, brought her back, but she'll never walk again. You've collapsed her lungs.
Jesus.
One of the sadder stories, and I know it's not sad, but it's like Lou working at the bar and
Mhm.
him basically
Jerry.
being or
Jerry, not
Jerry,
Lou.
Jerry. He's basically Charlie Day. Like he's
He's the
doing
Yeah,
all
I
this
do
bartender.
shit
feel
Yeah.
work,
bad.
and the whole time it's like, hey,
Oh
when can
man.
I bartend? Like to get the
Mhm.
tips, and it's like all these, and then we all knew it was going to happen. He develops a romantic relationship with the neighbor, and then he goes to his wife's brother because he's got some money to help him out. He tells him to go fuck himself. He then happens to have, I'm presuming, one of the first nights ever with the neighbor, and
First, yeah.
just so happens the brother shows up, sees
With a
he's with
check.
another woman, with
Yeah.
he's got,
What
and he
fucking luck.
tells him again, go fuck yourself, like fuck off, because he's looking at it as being disloyal. So now he's working in a shithole bar. My question is, what do you think happens when the crew inevitably finds he's working at that bar? When they go in to get a drink after work and he's wiping the floors?
I would hope. I mean, okay, so I would imagine that they would razz him at first, but then when they find out why he's taking on a second job, they are going to come together and help him
I hope
financially.
they do like there's like a collection across the houses or something. Like
Yes.
I don't know, I don't remember, but I don't remember how this storyline with Jerry ends with him with the wife and everything. I truly don't.
It's getting
I
too
really
expensive
hope
to
it
keep her in that
doesn't.
nice home.
Yeah, I really hope it doesn't end with him having to move her somewhere else because it would be unfortunate.
Hmm.
What do you think the odds are of the neighbor lady pitching in?
I mean,
Well,
she's
she
offered.
offered
already
before.
offered.
She's
Yeah.
offered.
already
He just
offered.
doesn't want to take it from her, which I understand. I mean, that's who Jerry is. He's this proud guy. And I mean, it even took so much for him to go to, his brother-in-law's house to say, hey, your sister's not doing well. She idolizes you. And I've got her in this home because I can no longer care for her at home. Can you help me out? And um, I mean, that took a lot for him, I feel. But I think that the whole house is going to come together and help out. I hope. I would hope.
I hope so too. It's that his story is not getting brighter.
No.
No, yeah.
He's just
it's getting
dealing with,
rough.
he gets a little bit of happiness by connecting with the neighbor and it fucks everything up. And now he's got that instant regret of that. And, it's like his story's getting harder for Jerry to exist.
Yeah.
It is, I know.
Lou, too. I mean, I think Lou, I hope at some point by the end of this season makes a bounce back. I really do.
I was just thinking about the Tao of Pooh. And
The Tao of Pooh, yeah.
What are you reading that shit for?
Proby and Lou are fucking fighting over a book about Winnie the Pooh.
You're reading that ideological garbage and just yells at him for reading Tao of Pooh. And Proby's like, I got, he probably reads a page a day.
I've got thoughts. I've got.
When Lou gets in it with Franco and just starts throwing racial comments at him, I was
Yeah.
like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah, he's really at like the end of his rope right now, and like he's just
Yeah.
lashing out at everybody.
Well,
And
because
it shows a lot to show how Franco still loves him.
He does
for who
handle
he
himself
is.
better than you would think he would. Like you would figure
Yeah.
Franco the hothead would have been like, all right, well, fuck you, Lou, and that would be it. But he actually handles it fairly well.
Yeah.
Hmm.
there is a scene where they do get a call, and because of Lou's downward spiral, he doesn't think straight, and it puts him and Franco at jeopardy. I mean, they get trapped, and here Tommy, he has to bust through walls to save them. And
Literally.
this episode, this season, it's it's Lou's fault, not Tommy's. And
Mhm.
that's where him and Franco started butting heads, because I mean, you put Franco's life, somebody else puts Franco's life at risk again in a fire.
Franco makes a
Mhm.
comment too that there's only so many people he can trust in a fire. One of them is Lou. One of them is Tommy,
Mhm.
and Lou let him down,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and that hurt Lou too.
Well, that's the other thing is Lou knew he fucked up too. He was
Yeah.
really, like he was really beaten down by that.
And he even
Because-
admitted it to his uncle that has terminal cancer.
I do love his
Who
uncle.
I love. Yeah, I love Lou's uncle. Holy shit, that guy.
Where's my
He ba-
fucking burger?
yeah,
Just
he
started
basically-
cooking it.
Mhm.
He basically gives him like, because Lou is basically like, what am I even doing? Like, it doesn't make a difference, kind of like melancholy and just, and he's like, you see him behind the grill? I saved him. And has that whole like, what we do matters. Like, don't ever say it doesn't. Like, and whether that peps him back, I don't know. I do hope his arc gets a little bit brighter. Like, out of all the people that I want to see, and I don't remember exactly, but I don't think Candy's done for good in this show.
I don't think I don't remember either what happens further, but I imagine what they're gonna do to us is they'll brighten up Lou and then fucking Candy shows back up.
I hope she shows up and like he fucks her over or gets his money back or something to help. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, but I hope she gets her comeuppance.
Does anybody remember the horse's name?
No, but that
Oh, the
scene
horse
was
from Sean.
incredible.
Sean goes. They go to save somebody from a accident with a carriage and a car,
Oh yeah.
and the horse runs off, and Sean goes off and finds it and brings it back.
And they're like, "Hey, horse!"
He comes
whisperer."
riding back on him.
Yeah. And the horse was kind of injured, and they were making jokes that they're going to turn it to glue and shit like that. And Sean's like, "No," he's like, "This reminds me of the time when I was, I worked in a stable and all this shit. I used to ride every day." And then he fucking goes to smack the horses on the ass, and it fucking takes off.
And they
Mhm.
get hit by a
car.
bus.
A bus. Oh, those buses are a lot sturdier than I thought they were. Holy
And
hell!
then Jerry's like, "Go check and see if they're okay." And he looks at Sean. He's like, "Grab the shovel."
Yeah.
Oh fuck! Poor Sean. Poor Sean.
Jesus.
Oh.
Jen, I'm gonna be straight up. I want Stan's Donuts today.
That does sound good.
We're going out to that area. I want Stan's Donuts. What? I mean, is there anything? I don't think there's anything we missed.
Lou stealing the poo book after a while.
He ends up going to like a used bookstore and then just
Takes it
steals
out
it.
for all.
Puts it
Yep.
in his pants on top of it. It's not even like it's in his fucking trousers.
Tommy is a lucky fucking guy. For the amount of women that he gets.
I mean, Dennis Leary is a pretty good looking dude. I'd say he's aged pretty well, even at this point.
He gets the babbling brook at the beginning. The girl that just can't stop talking about.
Oh my god, he grabs the duct tape.
yeah.
I laughed so hard.
And when he brings up
I
the
saw
duct tape,
that.
she's like, "Oh!" She gets all excited about that. And then he like gets to make out with Marissa Tomei, and
Would have
Side-
gone
boob,
further
yes.
had Janet not come and fucking raped him.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Like she reverses it. It's so weird.
It's like a power dynamic where like he grabbed the power with his like he had the power with the like fuck you, I don't need to see you, bless you. That was the first angle, and then the second angle is him establishing his like dominance over fucking her to basically say fuck you to Johnny. And then it's almost like there she is to reestablish her dominance of like, don't forget it, I own you. You know what I mean? Almost like that sort of thing.
And it's crazy. Yeah, it is a dominance thing because his reaction, like he doesn't know what to fucking do. He's like totally lost. Like, wait, who is this person?
mm-hmm.
One thing we also didn't talk about is this smoking ban that's going into effect in New York City. So
Mhm.
the firehouse, nobody will be able to smoke indoors anymore. So they try to make it a group effort and sweeten the incentive of not smoking by, if you smoke a cigarette, you got to put X amount of dollars into the kitty is what they're calling it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I almost feel like if Jerry would just be like, hey guys, I know we've been doing this. Here's the situation. Can we do something? Could I use
Yeah.
like they would be like, yeah, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't even be like a thought. It would be like, you're having trouble? Yeah, take it. It's fine. Like we've been smoking the whole fucking time. Like just take it.
Yeah.
But there is a moment where he does grab the jar and he looks at it and he's about to take the money.
And you know what? Part of me was like, don't do it, Jerry. But part of me was like,
Mm-hmm.
just do it, man. Like they'll
Yeah.
they'll understand.
Yeah.
Just do it. We talked about this scene where he revives the girl. My favorite part of that scene is what does he do? Pulls a cigarette out and
Yep.
does the Ben Affleck.
Mm-hmm.
Like he takes that drag and he like from the beginning to the end enjoys it. Like it is a drag of like That's right. I just brought her back from death. Like
Was
total
that the Parliament?
badass.
Was that the Parliaments from
The ones they
Bangladesh?
found on the floor, yeah.
Yeah.
The one that Sean thought, and then fucking Lou with his nose. This
Yeah.
nose has smelled every type of smoke, and he fucking down to the Parliament, down to the brand, and he's like, "How does he
And
do that?"
Because he
He's
saw the
like, "I
same
saw it when I was walking
packet
up,"
on the
yeah.
floor. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all
because
just
of
a
his
ruse. He
nose.
fucking, he's like, "I saw the pack too." I do find
Yeah.
it funny that the guys are like, these poor firemen are trying to quit so hard that they've relegated themselves to standing in the burning building trying to smoke a cigarette and lighting it off of the flames. Like, poor Sean is just like, huh. You feel bad for
Well,
the
shit.
guys.
He even makes out with fucking Maggie just so he can get the smoke because she's the one smoking, and not him.
But
Can you do that,
whole
thing where you
that
blow
whole
smoke in my face?
that whole thing where he's like, yeah, my girlfriend doesn't like me to smoke. She says she hates the smell, and they're like, oh, so she doesn't smoke, and she's like, nah, she smokes like a chimney, like she smokes like tons. It's like fucking Maggie, what a cunt.
Oh my god.
I'm trying to think. I think the relationship between Proby and the dude has gotten weirder. Well, I think they're still in the apartment together, and it's just
Yeah.
they're broing down with blowjobs, I guess.
Well, now he's got somebody else that was there for dinner. And
Oh,
Proby
that's
had
right.
to
He's
stay
cheating
behind.
on
Yes.
Proby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cheating, I guess you would say with quotation, but
I mean, I'd argue, even if it's not a written contract, it's definitely verbal.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy going to the sperm bank,
Yes.
and
Yes.
his dumbass drops the cup.
There was dust
Oh,
in your
yeah,
sample.
dust particles.
And the whole reason he's going is because he wants to freeze it, just in case he
Yeah.
wants to have another son. And Sheila,
And him and Sheila
yeah.
actually have a conversation about that too.
Can you
She's the one who
think of me?
convinces him, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Can you think of me when you're there? And he's like, I gotta go by.
He does that face of like, no, like, what's your problem?
And then he gets the call from Miss Turnbody. This is before the chlamydia thing came up. And he goes there and drops off his load there instead of at the sperm bank.
Yeah, he drains the reservoir.
He comes back with, they're like, you're gonna have to come back tomorrow.
Yeah, he's like,
sir."
I actually had sex earlier, and I don't think it's enough. And he's like, don't worry, we can do remarkable things with very little. And he's like, that's not enough. He's like, yeah. Okay. Can I just take the cup home and fill it there and bring it back? No, it's not how it works.
Can we turn the heater up? She's like, turn off the heater.
I am blown away by the writing in this show. It's done so fucking well.
I would like to
and
know
I still
how
give a
much.
shit about every character, which is amazing.
I would like to know, like behind the scenes, how much of the writing is there, and how much was it the guys on set throwing shit in. Like, what was improv? What was like, like I would love to know how this show came together. Like, if it's all on paper, then it's brilliant. But if it's not on paper, it's almost even better. It's almost like because you could tell some of these lines are Dennis Leary, which he's a writer.
God, yeah.
So he's a writer on the show, so would make sense. But I would love to find out that like some of these lines are improv. Just for because then you could see, because then that would even give more authenticity to the flavor of the characters, because it's like those are the real people talking.
I think Jerry was the only one that was a real fireman that was on this.
Yeah, he was. I think what's his face who dies in season 1 was also in real life. One of the ghosts that haunts him now.
Oh, yeah.
Cancer?
Yes.
No, yeah, he had cancer but then died in the building.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, he didn't have cancer, but he died in the building. That's what it was.
He had something which they never really tie up, do they?
No, they don't. I think his death in the building was more.
Well, it's almost they like lead to being like, yeah, we're gonna let you know about, but they never talk about that again, like ever, which is odd. Now that I think about it, I am drawing a blank. I think we've hit everything.
Yeah,
I think we have. I'm excited to watch the last half of this season.
Yeah,
it took everything not
Same.
to watch it, because if for the viewers who are watching this, we delayed recording this by a week.
So we will be recording another episode next week of the second half.
Yeah. So I had to hold off because I didn't want to jump ahead, get to this episode, and start melding shit.
Yeah, that was our problem. Like, we've been itching, but it's like
we made the mistake of Sunday after we recorded the last one. We watched all 5 within the first 5 of the season.
an addiction.
Within like the first few days, and then we waited until what, like the very
Few
last
days
day that we
ago,
could,
yeah.
a few days ago, to watch the last episode, or the episode 6.
Usually as soon as we're done recording, I start watching the next set of episodes.
It's hard not to. I'm actually glad that we're
Mhm.
doing it next week. So that means once we watch these, we'll record, and then we can start for the next season next week. We've only got a week in between this time. All right, I'm ready to wrap it up. How about you guys?
Yep.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us again for Rescue Us. Please do check out the YouTube channel, all the other content. Like, subscribe, all that cliched shit. Once again, I am Matt.
I'm Jen.
Ashofan.
I'm Alex.
You guys have a wonderful whenever you're watching this. Bye.
Bye.